Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Welcome one and all to another episode of the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show. I'm your host, Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And today we're going to be reviewing what apparently is only Robert Eggers' third feature-length movie.
Really?
Yeah. The Northman. Oh wait, I already had an IMDb page open for Robert Eggers. I don't know why I needed to open another one. Director. He has six director credits. 3 of them are shorts. One of them is The Witch, or The Vitch, as the you remember that poster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it separated the W into 2 V's.
Yeah. And then The Lighthouse and The Northman.
Anna Taylor-Joy was in The Witch, wasn't she?
Yes. Willem Dafoe was in The Lighthouse. So, anyway, we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review. And then going more in depth. We'll give you a spoiler warning and we'll go more in depth into it after that. So this is an archetypal epic story. So it's not like there's a lot to spoil. It's pretty predictable because of that.
Yeah. Well, it's based off an epic saga or something.
That was the
basis for Hamlet.
Yeah.
So Hamlet is based off of the story that this movie is based off of.
Right.
Called Amleth or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's
Scandinavian.
Yeah, it's an Icelandic epic apparently, which I guess there's a whole series of Icelandic epics that are a thing. News to me, but it makes sense. And then so this is a very dark, gritty movie. It takes place around 900 AD.
I mean, if you've seen any of others of
Robert Eggers'
work, you would expect a dark, gritty movie.
Yeah. But from what I was looking into, I guess they put a lot of effort into getting the not just the wardrobes and the buildings and stuff correct, but the mindset.
There are no horned helmets in this movie.
No. There, so they apparently they put a lot of effort though into getting correct the mindset too of the Norse people. And what I thought was really interesting is that, in most Viking fiction, they take place in the British Isles. Vikings traveled a lot farther than the North Atlantic. They traveled also east and south. They had trade routes open with the Ottoman Empire and the Persian Empire.
Yeah.
Or the Persian Empire, and then
if you ever seen the 13th Warrior, my understanding is I saw something that's actually a fairly historically accurate film in a lot of ways. It does have its historical issues, but I mean, they traveled down through
what is modern day Ukraine.
Yeah, into the Black Sea.
Yep.
Where that story starts. And in this, they travel into Ukraine.
Right. Well, the land of the Rus. So.
Right, but they talk about sending slaves to Kiev and.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. So this. Yeah. So it's it would be early on after the establishment of the Kievan Rus. And so it's this time period. The name literally translates to the time of land taking or something like that. For the Viking or for the Norse people, for the Swedish Norwegian people.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was really cool how they traveled into Eastern Europe, or what we modern day call Eastern Europe. Was considered Central Europe for a very long time. But I thought that was just really interesting because we don't see that a lot in movies. It's always stuff in the British Isles,
Yeah, but I think part of that is where they choose to cast in film.
Yeah. If you're going to cast Anya Taylor-Joy in a in a historical movie, you're gonna cast her as a Slav.
Yeah, except she's British.
But look at her.
Yeah, she looks Slavic. She might be Slavic descent, but she's a British.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then Alexander Skarsgård, super ripped in this movie. I mean, damn.
He's also like the tallest person in the movie. On top of that,
Slouching.
yeah, he's like character slouches all the time, because he's like pretending to be like a commoner
weak.
or slave and weak. So he's like trying to hide that, but even slouching, he's like taller than everyone.
Yeah.
He's huge.
Yeah, and something else that I thought was interesting. So this isn't a spoiler. This is in the trailer. There's some stuff in there that's like sort of supernatural-ish, based on like the mythology of not just the Nordic people at the time, the Norse people at the time, but also some of, like, the Slavic peoples at the time.
Yeah.
But it's not like, in a lot of ways you can. It's not like. It's not the point of the plot, though.
Right. Well, they show this Valkyrie in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to get into spoilers on that, but like there's a lot of stuff in there that's like you can easily explain away that, like, well, no, that's not really there, or that's not what is actually happening.
It's a hallucination or
right.
a dream or
you know,
something.
It's like someone who is a true believer in his religion, you know, believes this thing is happening.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really an interesting take on it as well, because a lot of times too, stuff involving ancient Norse people is so focused around their mythology, which, to be fair, is very interesting.
There's one thing that, even if you can like write it all off as like a vision, or like a hallucination or a dream or something, there's one aspect that happens that I'll bring up in the spoiler section that is kind of unexplainable. Just an oddity thing.
Does it involve the birds?
That's another one.
Yeah, because I think you and I are thinking of two different ones then.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that in the spoiler section then.
But they are tied together.
Yeah. So, but all the acting in this is incredible. Skarsgård's abs are incredible.
Yeah. He looks like he did that dehydration thing, so it looks like his skin gets all tight over his muscles.
Which he probably did, because he was only shirtless for like 2 scenes.
Right.
It was like when he's rowing the boat, and then that fight scene that's in the trailer, like when they attack that town.
Right.
So and then like what I thought was cool too is all like the berserkers like hyping themselves up and stuff before fighting and things like that. That was all just really cool. I just thought that was all so neat seeing that. And yeah, when I was looking into it after the fact, and apparently like I said, a number of experts are saying they seem to have paid really close attention to maintaining accuracy of not just the props and the buildings, but also the mindset of the people at the time. So that was all really cool.
Even when they were in the Rus area, like there's all these guys in like these Mongolian looking helmets and stuff.
Yeah, because something people don't think about or know necessarily is what would become Russia was originally the far western edge of the Mongolian Empire. The original czars were like regional governors of the Khans.
Yeah.
Like they were part of the Golden Horde. Which is why, to this day, there's so many people with Asian-looking features in Russia. Like Asian-looking eyes and whatnot in Russia. But yeah, that was also a neat thing. In that town, there's a bunch of like Mongolian-looking troops defending the town.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. That was all really neat. I highly recommend the movie. I mean, just be aware of what you're getting yourself into. Yeah,
I'm going to say this movie doesn't have broad appeal, I don't think. Like, certain will like it, and they'll like it quite a bit. But
I watched an interview with Robert Eggers and Skarsgård just a little bit ago, and they were talking about, like, they wanted to make, like, a realistic kind of Viking movie, but, you know, it also had to have broad appeal. I don't know if they nailed that.
I don't know that they nailed that.
I don't know if Robert Eggers is capable of broad appeal.
That is true. It's a good movie, but I think it has sort of a niche niche appeal.
I think it is the most broad appeal movie he has made.
Oh well, yeah.
I will
I
say
mean,
that.
it's all up from The Lighthouse. I mean, which go watch a review on that. That's an odd one.
Yeah, so this movie also does something that is always deeply unsettling to me, and that's when you have a one shot looking directly at Willem Dafoe's face. Because his eyes are like looking in like different directions, and his mouth looks way too wide for his face.
He's an odd-looking man. I'll give him that. And something else you're bringing up that they don't often show is the savagery and the slavery that the
like the Vikings. Yeah, they fought
did.
brutally. They just attacked other people with the specific intent of enslaving them. And to be fair, they weren't the only ones.
Yeah.
But we have this sort of romanticized idea of what the Vikings were. And it's like, yeah, they raided the northern coast of the British Isles, but they were otherwise honorable people. It's like, they weren't necessarily any more dishonorable than any other civilization at that time.
Basically, every civilization viewed everyone outside them as non-human and thus could be killed and enslaved as much as you want. That's kind of how it was at that time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought that was, because like I haven't seen much of it, but I've seen a little bit of the Vikings show, and like there's so much in that I was just like, this isn't how these people were.
I think I only watched a couple.
All this like highborn ideals of like honor and nobility, and it's like, are we talking about the same Swedes here? I mean, look, Sweden was a menace to Europe for a long time before they were Sweden. Go look up at some of the wars they fought. Again, not singling them out. Everyone in Europe at that time had their issues, but like, we have this sort of romanticized idea about the culture that is
also, especially what they're like now, like super friendly people, and you're like, that's not what your ancestors are like.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you got to say that's not spoiler?
No, not really.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's a pretty good movie, but you just got to know what you're getting into.
So,
and
it is a very well-made movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little slow, which is fine. It works for the movie.
It's not overly long. It's just a little over 2 hours, right?
But there are some parts of it that are a little long and a little slow, and that's fine for the movie. It works well for the movie. Just be aware of that. If that's not your thing, know that going into it. Because the trailer looks so like action-packed. There's all this fighting going on and stuff.
Yeah, there actually is long stretches of time without any fighting.
Right. So yeah, spoilers?
Yeah,
spoiler section. All right. So the thing I was thinking of that's like doesn't make a lot of sense if you're thinking that all these supernatural things popping up are hallucinations or like just the results of what a very true believer in his own religion wants to see is when Skarsgård is being hung from the rafters of the world's tallest barn because that dude is a giant. And the ravens come in and peck the rope to let him out.
Yeah, the other thing is the sword that cannot be drawn in the daylight. See, that at first I was like, well, that could just be he believes that. But then that other guy picks up the sword and he can't draw it.
Yeah, that's true. But part of me wonders if there might have been something else, though. Or, it could have been something he was hallucinating at. Maybe the sword was just very difficult to draw. And so in his mind, like, it only made sense that it could be drawn at night. I don't know. But, like, there's a scene where when he goes to get the sword, because it's, like, fate foretold for him to go dig up this longship burial mound and take this sword from this dead Viking.
Yeah,
and he fights the undead Viking.
Right, he goes to pick up the sword, and it's a revenant, like a Draugr if you're
from Skyrim.
And he fights it, and I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting like actual mythology stuff for this. Then after it kills him, it like pans over, and he's just still standing in front of this corpse, and he picks up the sword.
And the skeleton falls apart.
The skeleton falls apart. So like this fight was like in his head.
He was not in a good place mentally at this point.
No, he was really messed up at that point.
Yeah, and
there might have been some hallucinogenic fumes in that cave where he went to see that soothsayer or whatever.
Oh yeah, the he witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like all the stuff with like the berserkers. I mean, from what I've seen and read, like this idea of the berserkers and the berserker rage it was really just the biggest dudes in your army would hype themselves up on like alcohol and chanting before a battle, and then just go apeshit.
Yeah.
And like that's where we get the myth of like the invincible berserker from, because he is a berserker.
Yeah.
Like when he sees his father get killed and he escapes, and it like cuts to him later as an adult, and he's part of this group of berserkers that attack this town later. And like presumably there must have been other guys with them. They were just like the advanced party that went in first.
Yeah, that's what because there
was a bunch
once
of dudes
they went
on
over
those
the
long
walls,
boats.
They opened the gates, and a bunch of guys on horses came.
Oh
through
yeah,
the
yeah.
gate, remember?
That's right. Yeah, because they were. There's definitely a bunch of other dudes on those long ships.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a part where Odin, he like sees Odin, and it's like, well, that could easily be hallucination. The thing with the Valkyrie is he gets rescued by Anya Taylor-Joy, who is like a Slavic like witch. She's something of the Birch Forest. Olga of the Birch Forest.
Yeah.
Given me enough time, I would have guessed Olga, because that's like the go-to female Slav name, right?
Right.
So
yeah, she was a slave that so when he finds out that these slaves are going to where his uncle is, because his uncle killed his father.
And he finds out later that he was chased out of Norway by that dude who's like the first king of Norway. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Harald or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And anyway, so he's like, oh, here's my chance to get back to my uncle so I can kill him. So he pretends to be a slave with the rest of the slaves.
Right.
I don't know why he doesn't just go like, hey, let me go with you. But
so he could sneak in and get in there and get.
So anyway,
of
course he befriends her, and then they fall in love.
Yeah.
And she helps him out in his revenge quest.
Yeah, so like she shows up and saves him. Like he's seeing it as a Valkyrie taking him to. They don't call it Valhalla in this. It's like another word that I guess is probably
it's Valhalla, and then like the is just not there. It shows it pop up in some subtitles, and it's like VALHALL or something. There's just the isn't there. The A at the end isn't there.
So it wasn't like Valheim or something.
No, they said Valhalla.
Yeah. So I mean, it literally, I'm kind of wondering if like they literally just were using the word that would have been used at the time, if that's a word that, because they're supposed to be speaking like ancient Norwegian or whatever.
Right.
If like,
or if Valhalla is the way they pronounced it in another country, and that's just the one that's more commonly circulated, or something.
Kind of like how Kyiv and Kiev.
Right.
And it's like they're the same word, but Kiev was the Russian
like
word.
Valhalla might be the word that the Germanic tribes picked up and started using.
Yeah.
And that's probably where we get a lot of the
that could be
the stuff from.
But yeah, so he sees himself as being rescued by this Valkyrie, and the next day he like wakes up and it's like, no, it's just Olga saved him, and he's like, is this Valhalla or whatever? And she's like, I didn't take you that far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just like, that was clearly just a delusional hallucination he was having because he was like badly injured or whatever.
Right.
And then, is there anything else that was like there's a part at the beginning where he's like talking to Willem Dafoe, like as a child. As a child, he and his father go to see Willem Dafoe, who's like a druid type,
something like that, yeah.
or like a witch type person, and like they have this whole like spiritual thing. It's like, well, they did drink out of that bowl, probably just some hallucinogenics in the bowl.
Yeah.
So, you're like, okay, they're just tripping on mushrooms or whatever.
Right.
So, Yeah,
He also keeps seeing this vision of like the tree of his fathers or something. It's like his family line going back, and then he has this vision of like his children or something.
Yeah, he's like able to sense his twin children in the belly of Olga.
And it shows them like one of them's like got a scepter, like he's gonna be king, and is that like eventually
the
like
daughter had the scepter.
Yeah, is that historically significant? Probably.
I have no idea. I have no idea like the significance of royalty because she was sent off back to Norway or something, right?
Yeah, where
At
his kin are from.
Right. So I have no idea what the significance of that is. I'm not super duper familiar with ancient Norse history.
No.
So, yeah. Got anything else to add to that?
No. Oh, that his mother turned out to be a real bitch.
Yeah, that was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his mother turned out was in love with his uncle the whole time anyway.
So she helped facilitate the assassination of his father.
Right. And attempted assassination of him. And then she like starts trying to seduce him at one point, saying like, "Oh, if you kill him, that would mean you're king of whatever, and like I could be your queen." And we're just sitting together in the theater, go like, "Oh, grody."
Yeah, and then she kisses him,
like in a gross way.
Yeah,
in a way that is gross because she's his mother.
They actually played husband and wife in some of their movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got anything else to add to that then?
No, I think we're done.
Alright, so the next movie we're seeing is probably going to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Well, except we got the next movie we're going to review is The Bad Guys.
Yeah, that's right. We saw 3 movies this weekend. So the next movie we're going to review is The Bad Guys, and the one after that is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So be on the lookout for those coming up. Those will be bing, bing, boom, like probably this one tonight, the next one tomorrow night, and the one the night after, probably.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So the next movie we're going to see after that, though, is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Top Gun Maverick and the Bob's Burgers movie are also in May. We're seeing Jurassic World Dominion, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We're seeing Lightyear for sure. That movie looks pretty awesome. Like, regardless of if you're excited because it's Pixar, because it's Toy Story tie-in or whatever, it just looks like a really cool sci-fi space opera. Elvis.
Yeah.
That dude does a pretty good impression of the voice, I think, in the trailer.
Yeah. It's like Aaron or Austin something.
Austin something, yeah. So I guess we're seeing this Minions movie.
I guess so.
We're sort of obligated to see it.
We were talking about this. We both thought this was another Minions movie. We didn't realize this movie had been pushed back so far. We thought this one had been released already.
Yeah.
And this was just another one.
We saw a new trailer for it, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute, what? I thought that movie came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, July is also going to have Thor, Love and Thunder. Excited about that. So one thing that's interesting, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, I guess there's some shots in that are like direct translations of comic book panels onto film, which is really interesting. Is a cool take to have, I think. Cool way to handle it. We're definitely seeing Bullet Train, but are we seeing this Paws of Fury? The movie looks really dumb, but the voice cast is really stacked.
It definitely looks like Sam Jackson is the best part of that movie.
Yeah, but we also don't really get a lot. We don't get any talking really by Michelle Yeoh or Mel Brooks.
Right, and like one line delivered in the trailer from George Takei.
Yeah, but the trailer's all Sam Jackson and Michael Cera.
Right.
And look, Sam Jackson is reason enough to see most movies. Michael Cera is reason enough to avoid most movies.
That's true. It might balance into
Might just be meh. We're definitely not seeing DC League of Super Pets. Throwing that out there. Not happening. The movie looks awful.
It'll be the most well-lit DC movie, though.
Oh, yeah, that was that meme you sent me earlier about that.
Yeah.
So, looking at this, August right now has, like, nothing.
Unless Minions gets pushed back again.
So, there's a comedy coming out starring Kaylee Cuoco, Woody Harrelson, Ellen Barkin, and Kevin Hart called The Man from Toronto. The world's deadliest assassin and New York's biggest screw-up are mistaken for each other at an Airbnb rental.
Alright. That sounds like an 80s or 90s comedy.
Yeah, so, I don't know. There's, like, literally nothing else, though. Like, that looks good in August. So, you know, I mean, as we get closer, stuff might get announced for that, like, but you would think that most things that were planning to come out that month by now would be announced for it, right?
Yeah. May just be a quiet month.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm looking through the rest of the year and it doesn't look like a lot. Like Black Adam? Black Panther. Creed 3? Directed by Michael B. Jordan? He didn't direct the last one, right?
I don't know.
Like, there's just not a whole lot through the end of the year. Avatar 2, in theory. Shazam,
Really?
Shazam 2,
Alright.
announced for December. The Untitled Illumination Entertainment Super Mario Project, which is a mouthful. That also has Anya Taylor-Joy in it.
As Peach?
Presumably.
As Bowser. As Bowsette.
It's got Seth Rogen in it, though. You think he and Chris Pratt, like, fought while recording for this movie?
I don't know.
I could see him doing that, right?
Seth Rogen. I can see him being Bowser for some reason.
He's Donkey Kong. Jack Black is Bowser,
Oh,
which is awesome.
that is awesome.
Charlie Day's Luigi. Keegan-Michael Key is Toad. So, yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is Peach. So, yeah, hopefully more stuff comes up because, oh yeah, looking at it, Creed 3 is the only directing credit for Michael B. Jordan.
I like how it's like Untitled Illumination Super Mario.
Untitled Illumination Entertainment Super Mario Project.
Right, but you know it's just gonna be called Super Mario Brothers, right?
Right. It has to be, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's not a whole lot announced for the rest of the year, which is really sad because it feels like we're back in the COVID days when it's like there were plenty of movies that should have been coming out and just weren't. So do you think this is this far enough back that we're hitting the time period where stuff wasn't being produced because no one could get
I think that's probably
permits to do things?
I think that's probably it. We've hit the spot where like they couldn't make it. They weren't making any movies, so there's nothing coming out.
So
now.
that sucks. So I wonder if we'll have an period where we're gonna see, because remember a few years ago there was like this time where they were just showing like older movies in theaters. Like we went and saw Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
We went and saw Fury Road. There's a few others that.
And that wasn't even older. It had been out, but only a few months. It's just there was nothing else out, so they
right.
put it back.
Yeah,
in.
it's just like the only thing we have for IMAX is Fury Road. So
yeah.
Yeah, we went and saw Mad Max at Fury Road because why not, right? So I wonder if we'll hit a time period where that's going to be the case, where there's nothing new, but we got this old stuff. Because if they put Fury Road in theater again, we're going to go see it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get Logan movie back in theater. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Maybe after they show that Star Trek the motion picture, they'll start putting other like good Star Trek movies in theater.
Well, that one's like an anniversary showing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also the
'Cause
usual.
I think it came out in like '82.
There's also the usual like, the Studio Ghibli movies that get shown throughout.
Yeah, that
the
happens every year,
and stuff and like some random anime movies and stuff as well. So, but anyway, you got anything else to add to that?
No.
No. All right, so I guess that'll be it for now. Be on the lookout for immediately on the lookout for our review of The Bad Guys. As the next thing, go check out our older reviews. What was our last one?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2. You were on it this time.
Yep, I remembered this time.
Do you remember it, or did you have to look it up?
No, I actually remember.
Okay. And yeah, and come back. Hit the subscribe and the notification, I guess. Like the video. I don't know. Whatever. There's no dislikes on this video, I guarantee you that. So you can't prove anything. So yeah, until next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Toodles.